Right, lads and lasses, and g'day, mates. Welcome to another live episode of the Tune Under podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's only and therefore best dedicated Newcastle United podcast. Today we're coming live from the Sunshine State of Queensland in the lucky country of Australia. And we're going to be talking about the game that just finished about, 20 minutes ago, would you say, Craig?
About 20 minutes ago,
It was Newcastle at home against Wolves. It finished 1-0 to the mighty Mags, a much-needed 3-point victory. And to talk about that with me is Clammy Crag up in Cairns, unshaven again. I'm devastated by this tardiness, mate. How are you going?
I'm good, mate. Yourself all better this morning now. We've got that massive win under our belt.
But it was a bit nervy at the end, wasn't it?
Just a bit, but it wouldn't be Newcastle if it wasn't.
It would not be Newcastle if it wasn't. Wasn't. So this was our first game at home in a month. I think it was the first home game in 4. And if I'm not mistaken, we only got 3 points from those 4 away games. So desperately needed to get 3 points from this one today. And let's just take a short break, as we always do, and we'll get right into the teams. Oh, Craig's gone. All right. So this is one of the issues of doing a live video. Craig's just buggered off. I'll start with the teams anyway. So Newcastle at home. So we'll go first with Newcastle. It was Martin Dubravka in goal, as always. Emerald Kraft, our mate. Fab Shah, Dan Burn and Matt Target completing the defence. Shelby with the armband. Bruno making his first start in a while, I think. And then Joe Linton alongside him. So midfield, Brazilian midfield there. Ryan Fraser, Anthony Maximum, and Chris Wood up top. And if we just look at Wolves as well, it was, I'm going to struggle with these names, I can tell right now. It was Jose Sarr, Johnny, I can do Johnny, Willie Bolly, Connor Cody, Maximilian Kilman, Marcel, Condell, who I think is about 12-year-old, Martino, Trincao, is it?
That's right,
Trincao, Silva, and Hee-Chan Wang. Didn't do too bad there, I thought. So, looking at the Newcastle teams first, Craig, Emil Kraft back in for Manquillo. That was one of the obvious changes. And Bruno starting over the top of Willock, I think, was he ill, or did he pick up a knock or something? Or maybe it's both leading into this?
Knee injury from what House said in his presser.
Knee, fuck's sake. All right, well, so this was the starting lineup. How did you see it? Any issues or what?
I would probably say that's the strongest lineup we've got for fit available players.
That would be your first choice, would it?
It would, which is quite surprising with Kraft being in there. But after Manquillo's horror show against Spurs, I think Kraft was justified in coming back in.
Yes, and looking at that bench, man, that's absolutely lifting. Look at that. Darlow, Dummett, Lascelles, Ritchie, Manquillo, Murphy, Almiron, Gale, Longstaff. I mean, 3/4 of that is bloody Championship first 11, isn't it?
God, it's a very weak bench. And, when we looked at it, what were the last 10 minutes or so, you're thinking, how can we bring someone on that's going to have an impact on the game, whether it be defensively or offensively? There's no one really on there which springs to mind.
Yeah, maybe Longstaff in the middle, Murphy down the wing, but that's probably about your limit of it. Well, and Almiron, but of course he gets on early. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Moving on to Wolves. Don't know about you, but I don't know a great deal about this team. I do know that Fabio Silva's a decent talent. I wish he'd get a haircut. I've had one. You should have one. And obviously Connor Cody at the back's rock solid usually. But otherwise, I don't have a lot to say about that team. Did you have any thoughts on that? Obviously, they're missing three of the main starters.
Yeah, they had a few people out. There was 2 that we knew about, which was Neves and can't remember the other one now. But yeah, it was 2 main people out, and then I think Podence, he dropped out. Whether it was illness, injury, or whatever, not too sure. But they had a few first-team players missing, which obviously played into our advantage.
Well, it certainly did. So let's get into the game then. Get rid of that. Newcastle start up the pitch. heading towards the Leazes. So perhaps a good omen that we actually managed to win the toss right at the start there. We never want to play down the pitch in the first half. I didn't actually. I thought I'd join this game just as it started, but I didn't see anything much of the war flags display. Did you catch anything?
I did. It wasn't like massive surfer flag or anything like that. It was more of a spread out type display, all within the lower tiers, and it was well organized, obviously, but it didn't seem to have the wow factor of previous ones. I think where it's more contained towards the Gallagher, it's more spread out, so it's more of the black and white flags and whatever. And it looks as though they're putting on their Murdad seat, and he was photographed waving his flag and everything. So that was good to see.
He loves it, doesn't he, Murdad? All right, so honestly, for the first 25 minutes, like there was nout in this game. It was boring as fuck. Like it was sloppy. The passes were all over the place from both teams. There was next to nothing happening in either goal, and like there was 25 minutes of absolute tedium, wasn't it? I mean, the most interesting thing was Ryan Fraser going down with a hammy.
I'm worried about that, to be honest. Or at least I was at first, because we've got 7 games left of the season now, 6 games left, whatever it may be, and you think a hamstring that could potentially be his season over, depending on the extent of the injury, which obviously we hope it isn't, because he's a cracking player for.
He is, but I mean, at least there's only a few games left to go. It's not like it's sort of mid-season or start of the season, and at least we should probably be safe. We'll talk about that in a bit, but yeah, it's pretty bad to see Fraser going down there. He tried to continue, I think, although I'm not sure for whether that was just to allow Miggy to warm up or what. But anyway, Fraser goes off and Miggy comes on, and honestly, that was about the highlight of that first 25 minutes. It was absolutely shit. Maxi, it wasn't his best game, was it? He was trying to dribble at every chance that he got, but his decision making today, I think, was worse than normal, and that's saying something, given that usually his decision making isn't the best anyway. The amount of times he tried to take on people and they either doubled or tripled up on him, or he just basically lost the ball off his own accord, was ridiculous. I mean, it wasn't a very good start to Maxi, and I think as we'll go on here, it doesn't get any much better either, does it?
It doesn't. I do think there should have been a few opportunities where the ref could have and maybe should have blown his whistle. I think there was one. I think when we were shooting towards the Leazes, where he was literally 1 versus 6, and he was run on a diagonal run, and his shirt was clearly being pulled. There was no way an advantage could have been played because there's no Newcastle player around him, and he does get tackled fair and square. But the shirt pulling should have been enough for the ref to pull the play back and award us the free kick. And I understand his frustration at that, because that should have been given. Whereas other times, he's very reminiscent of Oba Martins when he loses the ball and he just goes in a massive huff and just very childish. And there was one where he just sat on the turf and Target had to help him back up and say, "How mate, we're still in this. We're still fighting. Get off your arse and help the teammate."
And that was towards the end, so you could kind of forgive him for being a little bit tired. But yeah, I said this in the last one. When he goes down, he's always trying to play for the whistle. He's not playing to it. There's been loads of occasions where if he just stayed on his feet or got back up onto his feet, the ball's in a great position. There's people who he could pass it to probably, but he doesn't. He sits down, whinges, and then complains a bit more when he doesn't get it. All right, so that was basically the first 25 minutes. Absolutely nothing to say. 36 minutes. So again, not much in between 25 and 36. There's a bit of interplay between Target and Big Joe, and Joe crosses in a nice ball, but it was well defended. Like, I can just cycle through a few of these things because honestly, there wasn't a great deal to talk about. 42 minutes. There was this interesting set ball routine. So it's basically Shelby and Target sitting over the ball. It's just outside the Wolves box, and Target takes a few steps and sort of moves away from it, and you think, oh well, that's obviously Shelby taking the ball. Shelby then starts to run up to take the ball, to take the kick. He then stops, and then Target actually runs back onto the ball and whips the ball into the box. Craig, it wasn't a good ball, it was easily defended, but that was quite an interesting training ground move, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought at first there was a bit of an error, a little bit of lack of communication there, but obviously they meant to do it. Nothing came from it, unfortunately. But yeah, if you're going to be doing little things like that, they could be the difference from the defense making a mistake to our players reacting that little bit quicker. I'm all for it, to be honest. More stuff like that can only come to our advantage.
I just like the fact that it's obvious that we're trying things on the training pitch. I mean, we have such low standards at the minute because of what we've had to go through that it's ridiculous to say. But I sit there and I watch that and I think, oh, good, they do actually practice stuff. Then, there is actually a sign of some training regime going on, and the lads are trying to kind of play together and think of these things. Good.
There was a stat that one of the commentators brought up during the game, and I had no idea of this, but we are the second highest goal scorers from set pieces in the Premier League.
Yeah.
13, I think only Liverpool are higher, which, considering the first amount of games we couldn't even buy a goal, let alone get anywhere close to the goal, that is an impressive feat from where we were.
We've got a lot of tall boys. We do a lot of... I mean, does a set piece have to go straight in? Does it count as a set piece when it's clipped in and then it's headed in from Big Dan Burn or somebody? Is that still
I think there's got to be a short amount passage of play for it to be included. For there come like 10 passes or anything, maybe 2 or 3. But yeah, 13 is impressive.
Yeah, it's not bad. And again, after that, not much else until 48 minutes. So it's deep into extra time. In the first half, Bruno takes a tumble over a challenge just out the 18-yard box, and Shaw. For some reason, Shaw takes this one. It's quite a good position as well. And Shaw just blams it right into the wall. Rebound comes out to target, and he just welts it straight in the wall as well. And gets anywhere. Whistle goes. And it's 0-0 half time. And Craig, there wasn't a great deal to talk about. Obviously, I've just said there in the first half. No real quality from either side. Passes were just going all over the bloody place. Wolves weren't even really trying to go forward, it seemed to me. And actually, let me just show you the slide. This was shown at half time. That's Wolves and all their touches in the first half. Didn't even get in the box. It didn't get in our box at all. Not even once. Nearly did, but they didn't actually get in the box at all. And how did you see that first half? I thought it was dreadful. And would you say that we had the better of that half, even if it was shit?
I do. We had the one moment of brilliance with between Miggy and Bruno, with unfortunately Wood having that goal disallowed. But no doubt we'll get onto that later on. That was the only bit of imagination, bit of creativity, anything that was worth of a highlight reel for the first half. Other than that, if you were to show highlights of that, it's literally the players coming onto the pitch, then the players leaving the pitch. That's it.
It was shit, wasn't it? Look at this chart though. Not one touch inside the box. I don't know. I think they said that the first team this season who's managed to do that.
Yeah, it looked as if they were just trying to set the feelers out for the second half, trying to work out how we're going to play, where our weaknesses are, and obviously that kind of played to their advantage because they were a different team come the second half. And looking at that, it was almost as if they were ready to park the bus. They were happy to play for a 0-0 draw, but second half again, it was a different team that came out from Wolves.
It's so strange as well. I was expecting a completely different team to be facing up against it. I know it's St. James's and they've got all the crowd and everything, but the way Wolves have been playing this season, I really expected it to be something else. Let's have a quick look at some stats. 50% each, pretty much. 1 shot on target to Newcastle, now for Wolves. That just shows you how bad it was. 5 shots off to 1 for Wolves. Bunch of other ones. But the other point is also there was no corners, not a single corner from that first half. Pretty bad. Fortunately, the second half gets a bit better, just eventually. So into the second half, then Newcastle started pretty bright, which was nice. Obviously, had a rocket up the arse, and but it's Wolves who get a corner on the 49th minute, and that was the first corner of the whole game for anybody in this game. 1 corner, 49th minute, doesn't come to anything, but still, it's like what is going on in this game? 52 minutes, Burn has a shot on goal, which is a collector's item. It's well saved in the end, but it would have been nice if that had went in. He's usually renowned for his headers, obviously with his height and stuff, but he actually took a shot on target. That was the first shot on target for any team as well. Although that stat there did say that there was one in the first half, but I'm pretty sure the commentator said this is the first one for either team. 54 minutes, good defensive work from Kraft to deny Wang. Do you like denying Wang, Craig?
I love denying Wang.
Do you? All right. It's not what the toilet door says. Apparently, Kraft making up the ground to get to that ball was the fastest person on the pitch at that point. He was going to something like 32 kilometers. So he was
ahead of Bruno in ASM, which I'm very surprised at. I didn't realize he had those type of legs on him. I thought he was almost like Dummett class and types of pace, but obviously he's proved me wrong, which I'm more than happy about.
They should have a speed chart, right? And they should call it like they pick whereabouts you are on the chart and you go, oh, you're Dummett class, like you're a Dummett class runner. Like, slow as hell and it takes forever to turn around, So anyway, that was what was that? 52 minutes? No, sorry, that was 54 minutes. 56 minutes. Silva gets a touch on the ball and then runs across Shaw at high pace, and he falls to the ground. Like he kicks the ball forward and he cuts across Shaw. So Shaw's alongside him, and he just kicks the ball forward. Then he kind of cuts right across him. Silva goes down, and he gets a free kick from it. And worst of all, Shaw gets a fucking yellow card as well.
Yeah,
like Craig, I thought that was a poor refereeing decision, Craig. But how about you? I mean, nothing comes of the set piece from Wolves, although it does get flashed across the box and that. But like, how was that a free kick? Let alone a yellow.
Yeah, the player obviously there's only one way the player can go if he's going to attack goal, and that's cut across Shaw. And Shaw can't go anywhere. All he can do is just put the brakes on, and then he's going to be clean through and go. So there's always going to be contact there. That is effectively just a 50-50. And if anything, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, he's the one that instigates that contact. He's played for that free kick, but a yellow card, I think, was a bit extreme, to be honest. Nowhere near on goal. There was no malicious in the challenge or anything. It was just coming together, really.
But he kicks the ball straight and down the line. It's not like he's cut the ball in and then he cuts across Shaw, which you could sort of say, well, that's fair enough. But like he kicks it straight down. He could just have kept on running if he wanted to, but he knows Shaw's there and he just cuts in front of him on purpose, goes down, and I don't know. I don't know how the hell that was a yellow, let alone a free kick. Anyway, so that was on 56. Thankfully, nothing comes to that, but the ball does get flashed across the box, and it's one of those kind of heart in the mouth moments. There was a few of those as the game went on. 64 minutes. Miggy, good bit of work from him. Releases Bruno wide right, and Bruno crosses, or you could even class it as a pass, really, because it's sort of straight across the box. It's not even. It's quite a feeble cross. It could have been cut out, I think, but it isn't. And it comes to St. Maxi. And I think you said on the chat as well, Craig, that he could have took another touch here, but instead he gets the ball and he just blazes it right over the top of the bar, off the top of Gallagher roof, probably. Pretty disappointing finish from Maxi, wouldn't you say? He should have done better.
Yeah, like he had time to take a touch, kill the ball, and then he could have just placed it. He went for glory straight away. He's like a rabbit in the headlights. I'm going to rifle this into the top corner, and it ended up, probably hitting one of the dead pigeons in the roof of the Gallagher.
Ball of feathers.
Yeah. It's still probably going, that ball. It's just cost Gateshead right now. We hit the Angel of North on the heat.
He did a few of them this game, didn't he? Where he just decided to take a shot when there was a far, far better option on. Anyway, moving on, 65 minutes. Another attack from us, so pretty good bit of time, a bit of possession and play from Newcastle at this point. 65 minutes, we're back in attack. Maxi again, he's on the right of their box. He squares the ball across the face to Wood, and it's sort of despairingly just behind Wood. Wood comes in sliding to try and get to the ball, but it's just behind him. Another good chance there, Craig. I think it's fair to say Maxi overhit that one.
See, I think this is 50-50. It was overhit, absolutely, but he had to get pace on it, or else it's not going to be the keeper and the defenders to get to the far post. And one thing we have criticised Wood for is maybe his reaction time and his lack of pace. Maybe Wilson would have been able to get onto the end of that. It was definitely overhit, but he had to hit it with pace. It was just getting the balance right between the two.
Yeah, I do think it could have been a little bit more finesse on it, but anyway, it goes wide. 68 minutes. This is basically the one talking point of this entire game that we can actually sit here and kind of enjoy to talk about. So it's the penalty decision. So Big Joe, I think initially it's a good bit of running from Maxi. He feeds Joe.
Yeah.
and Joe feeds another lovely ball into an on-running Wood, and he's in on goal. He's a little bit wide. He takes a touch past the keeper. The keeper's coming out sliding on his knees. I'm not sure exactly what the keeper's trying to do. Wood goes down like a sack of shit. Probably made. I was thinking, oh, I bet Dimmy was watching this, being really proud, because in the last one he was saying, saying Maxi or whomever, they need to sort of throw themselves to the ground a little bit more, and we'll get these decisions. And that and Mark and I were saying, no, we don't really want to see players doing that. But I imagine Dimmy just sitting there with a big smile on his face. Referee points to the spot, and I think that's like the second penalty this season that we've had. But because it's Newcastle, we have to have like a 5-minute bloody VAR check. And we're trying to think of all the ways they could think of to rule this one out. Tinfoil hat. But it isn't ruled out. It's given. Wood was onside. And up he steps. And he takes a really, really lovely composed shot into the back of the net. Keeper has no chance. Everyone goes nuts. Gallagher's bouncing around. It's 1-0 to Newcastle. The owners all jumping around. Howe's jumping around. Craig, that was a well-deserved, was a well-taken goal, I should say. But did you think that was a penalty? I'm not too sure.
There's angles which suggest that Wood threw himself into the tackle effectively. He didn't necessarily take a dive because there was contact there. But whether Wood instigated the contact or whether the keeper did, that is up for debate. But we've got to get the rub of the green somehow. Normally, those decisions go well against us. If that was given as a penalty against us and the one against Chelsea wasn't, where's the logic? So I'm going to call out justice on that one. Either way, the pressure for Wood to step up and take that penalty, especially Gallagher and getting his first goal at St James's Park.
Of course.
Yes, he had one chalked off earlier on, which would have been great for him to get his second. But the pressure for him to do that and to be so calm and the way he dispatched that penalty, it was reminded you of a certain Mr. Alan Shearer, who, that was his favourite spot, I believe, as well, up towards the keeper's top right. So it was a well-taken penalty, and probably that passage of play, we deserved the lead, I reckon.
Yeah, probably as well. I think I would agree with that, especially after the last couple of chances from St. Maxi just beforehand. I've just been saying that the whole Silva tumble with Shaw was a load of bollocks, basically. That's what I've essentially been saying. And because he basically kicks the ball forward, has no intention of getting it, and it just cuts across Shaw and falls down. I don't think Wood had any intention of making anything out of this other than to go down for the penalty. He's basically diving before the keeper gets anywhere near him. I'm not going to complain too hard because obviously that means we've got the penalty. We scored the goal. God knows we bloody needed it. I mean, the bloody game needed it. The game was shit. I mean, here's our mate Dex, friend of the pod. He reckons it was 100%. It's one of those where, I mean, to be honest, if that was Ryan Fraser, that would never have been given and it would have been waved away because Fraser doesn't get those kind of ones. Maybe it's the cuteness of Wood, and maybe it's because, I don't know, it's home and it's in front of the crowd. I don't know. But that was definitely one of those ones for me where the guy is going over looking for it. And if that had been against us, I would have been spitting feathers because I think that was pretty weak. But you know what? We've had some shit decisions this season. I ain't going to complain about it too much. I'm going to be the same as you, Craig. I'm going to say, you know what? That's a universe evening itself out a little bit.
Correct.
So straight after that penalty, straight after we go 1-0 up, Wolves make a couple of subs, and it becomes a much more interesting game, doesn't it? It suddenly becomes a bit more of a open-ended, end-to-end type game. God knows the game needed a goal. Like, God Lord. I mean, we said in the chat, 1 goal wins this, and fortunately we got it. 76 minutes. That was on 68, the penalty. So 76 minutes. Wood releases Maxi, who again is bearing down on goal, and Wood's managed to keep up with him, and Bruno is also out wide. He does everything right up to the pass. And this was a glorious opportunity. I think it was 3-on-2 at this point, or maybe 3-on-3. But he does everything right, say maximum up to this point, doesn't he, Craig? and then the pass to Bruno is too weak. So Bruno's basically ran past it a bit before the ball comes to him, because it's not a very good pass. Bruno has to kind of reset himself, and he still somehow manages to get a kick away, and it sort of just trundles just wide of the goal. It just wasn't Maxi's day today, was it?
It wasn't. That passage of play you mentioned there, though, when Maxi did play the pass, it did take a very slight deflection off Wolves player's calf, I think it was, which again just sets it that little bit further behind Bruno. I think if there was no contact there with the ball from Wolves, it would have been a cleaner shot from Bruno and may have just clipped it off the post. I'm not sure if the keeper got fingertips to it or anything, or whether it just bobbled past him.
It went for a corner. It went for a corner. I think someone touched it,
yeah. Either way, I mean, we were all a little bit excited to see how Bruno and Maxi would link up. And if that's the start of how it's going to be, that's the first ever time they both started, that could be a very interesting future between the two of them, providing Maxi gets his head up and plays the pass. Could have played it maybe a little bit earlier. And then again, Bruno could have got his shot off a bit earlier without being effectively crowded out. But we went for the kill, which is something that previous regimes we would have just sat back, absorbed the pressure, and hopefully seen out the last 15, 20 minutes, and hopefully we get the win. But we went for the jugular. We went to finish the game. We went to see it out, which I can only praise Eddie Howe for in that instance.
Yeah. I wonder if the Spurs game is still fresh in the minds there, because Shaw put us 1-0 up from that free kick. And then within a space of 2 minutes, Spurs were level again. And, it's happened to us a few times this season. I'm pretty sure it's the case. And I wonder if they're all thinking, you know what, we can't just sit back here. We're at home for a start. So we can't sit back here like we're an away team and try and see this one out. We need to keep on the front foot. And also, with a 1-0, it doesn't take much to lose that 3 points. You can drop 2 points dead easy in a 1-0 kind of situation. And I think maybe as well as thinking about Spurs, they were thinking just get that buffer. It's close to the end of the game, let's get that buffer, and then maybe we can sit back then and soak up some of the pressure. And if they score, doesn't matter because we've got 2. So that was 76 minutes, 78 minutes. Silva. So Wolves started to come into the game really heavy at this point, and it actually felt a lot like it was Wolves' game now. To me, they were doing a lot of nice triangle passing around Newcastle players. The kind of thing that I said earlier on there, where you expect them to be doing it right from the start, but they just didn't look interested first half. But it got to the point where we scored, and then suddenly something clicks in them, and suddenly they wake up. I don't know if it's their Dean Saunders lookalike managers screaming down their necks or something like that. But anyway, Silva's on the ball. He has a header, flashes it in front of goal, and then just 2 minutes later, he takes a pretty decent strike towards goal, and it's well saved by Dubravka, who, to be honest, by this point he's had nothing to do. So he was alert to the threat there. He did really well to get low at his far post his near post rather, to save. He's a good player, Silva. I think he needs to be in a better team. I think that's probably what it is, and he needs to get a haircut. And at this stage, actually, so around about 80th minute, it was 90% possession to Wolves. Like, we were just not in this game at all. Another feeble shot at goal on 84 minutes, which Dubravka smothered. We were starting to defend really deep. I think the nerves from the stands were probably starting to flow down a little bit into the players, which always happens. 1-0 up, desperate to win. You're going to feel the nerves a little bit. 88 minutes, Bruno gets subbed off for Lungy. Even though Big Joe had just been on the ground just beforehand, you thought maybe Joe would be the one coming off. But it wasn't. It was actually Bruno who comes off, and he's doing that whole like, me? Is it me? Me? Like, he can't believe he's going off. He's like, oh, fuck, me going off. But he was brilliant today, wasn't he, Bruno? I thought he was really, really good. And I suspect that's probably a little bit of protectionism from Eddie Howe there for Bruno. He was on internationals. This is his first full 90 since he came back. Well, near enough full 90. But yeah, Bruno, excellent day, wasn't he?
He was the standout player alongside Chris Wood today, I reckon. He is just quality personified. There wasn't a moment on the ball where he looked uncomfortable, where he looked shaky, where he looked like he was going to lose possession. He covered pretty much every blade of grass from both ends, coming back through. He was part of attack, part of defense. He was breaking down play. He was creating play. It was, you can clearly tell he's an international quality player just off that one performance. And the fact he's a Brazilian international player playing for Newcastle still is big, a big gobsmack for me, because we don't get those types of players, or at least we never used to. And yeah, he's quality. And if that's again what we're going to get in the run up to the end of the season, next season he's just going to be on fire, hopefully. And if we build a squad around him, then yeah, we're going to be climbing that table quite rapidly, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, get some good quality players around him and just watch him go. I think he. I thought he linked up pretty well with Miggy as well.
He did.
Maybe we'll mention Miggy in a little bit, but I don't know if that's South American connection sort of coming into it or what. But it was good to see. Anyway, so he's off. Longstaff's on. I'm not sure Longstaff touched the ball, to be honest. 90th minute, there's a beautiful flight across in from Cody, I think it was, towards Neto, right in the Newcastle box. And he just can't get his foot to it. And I'm sitting there like crapping my pants. I'm thinking, all right, I've got to go on and do a podcast here. I'd rather do one where we've won rather than one that we've dropped 2 points at the end of the game. So please didn't score. And I'm like, shit myself a little bit. And fortunately, he's about half a foot away from touching that ball. And he probably would have went in as well. But he didn't, thank God. 4 minutes extra time. I don't know where that came from. There was a few subs, in fairness. 92nd minute. Maxi's still full of running. He's in on goal after being released. I can't remember who released him. He has Longy in support, but he decides to go himself. And again, another feeble touch towards the keeper. It wasn't even. It was barely a shot. You could barely even call it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you though, Craig, but at this point, 92nd minute, you're 1-0 up. He's actually running down the left wing to start with, and he cuts in. Just go to the corner. Just go to the corner. Have a bit of an ole with the fans or whatever. But he doesn't. He has to go for glory, doesn't he? And based on the way the rest of this game had gone from, he really should have known better by this point, shouldn't he? He should have just went to the corner.
He should have, yeah. That is, again, I think Maxi's looking for redemption right now because his performances, and he was probably the first to admit, haven't been on par. And I think if that had went in, again, he would have been the hero of the moment. But if we had conceded from that, he would have been destroyed. He just needs to learn to read the game a little bit better. Every other player on that pitch would have went to the corner. But again, he just wanted to see glory, which you don't blame him for. He plays with passion and he wants to score goals. He wants to create, and he's just naturally driven towards that goal. But he just needs to be that little bit smarter on the ball, whether it be that pass, whether it be run to the corner, whether just get up and have a frigging look. Those are the big frustrations of his game right now, and that was never more evident than today.
Yeah, and in fact, he gets subbed just shortly after that. I think that was just how run down the clock a little bit. He brings on Murphy, who again, I'm not sure he touches the ball either. But yeah, not the best for Maxi today. But even when he's not his best like this, he still gives the defenders a shit ton to think about. So it's just about making the space from his runs for someone else to take advantage of it. And like Dex says here, he has 3 or 4 players around him all the time. He's always got man on him. But sometimes, not always, but sometimes there isn't anyone around on the Newcastle side to take advantage of the space he's creating. Because they'll have to get the ball, though. So if they don't get the ball, it doesn't make a difference if they're in fucking acres of space. And I think that's the main problem with St. Maxi, at least it was today anyway. Anyway, I don't know if you noticed, but all the subs are up on in the dugout there. Newcastle subs, all big smiles on their faces. Bruno and Dwight Gill getting paid for now. Manquillo. I forget who else was standing there, but they're all on their feet, waiting for their full-time whistle to go. Takes another agonizing 2 minutes worth of waiting. He's like, come on, ref, just blow the bloody whistle. But he does eventually. The home crowd was in beautiful voice at this point as well, all singing the Geordie song, and all the flags are waving, which is actually probably the first time I'd seen it this whole game. Looks great though, all the way around. All the flags are waving. And Newcastle win 1-0. 3 beautiful, delicious points. Thank you very much. Yum, 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 yum. It wasn't pretty. I don't think they're going to be writing many songs about this one.
No.
But we got the vital 3 points that we needed, Craig. How are you feeling when that final whistle went. How are you feeling for the? I know you've got a twitchy rabbit nose of an arsehole, but how are you feeling in the final few minutes leading up to the full-time whistle? And yeah, how did you feel afterwards?
It was a much needed win. And as I said in the chat again, it's all about the result, not the performance. I wouldn't have cared if that 1-0 win came in bouncing off Willy Bolly's arse in the 93rd minute. The 3 points is more important than the result, than the performance. It's a huge 3 points because this weekend for other fixtures for teams in and around us is massive. This is probably the biggest week for the Premier League this season when it comes to teams at the top and the bottom. And the fact we managed to get 3 points where other teams around us could do the same thing means we're not going to drop any positions. And I think we went back above Brentford now, I think. We're up to 14th now.
In fact, let's get the table up. I was going to do that in a little bit. Let's have a look at the table. So, yeah, go on.
10 points clear. And depending on other results today, it could stay that way. So, you know, I think Everton are at home to Man United later on today. And Watford Burnley have got Norwich.
Yeah, it's
so those are two massive games there. Norwich for a win in that one. And I never thought I'd say this, but I want Man United to win. Just because if we got that 10-point buffer, that is huge going in with 7 games left to go. It's massive.
It is. Newcastle on 34 points. I'll just read these out for anybody who might be listening. So Norwich on 18, they've pretty much gone. Watford on 22, Burnley on 24, Everton on 25, just hanging above the line there. Leeds on 30, probably looking a bit safer than I expected, actually. Brentford 33, Newcastle 34. I've also highlighted Leicester there in 10th place as our next opponents on 37. And 10 points clear, like you say, of the relegation zone. Shearer reckons that we are safe. Question from GT Nut 85, sorry, rather. Massive win that, lads. Do you think we're 100% safe? Shearer thinks we are. I know a few of us on the podcast think we are now that we've got those extra 3 points. Craig, huge 3 points either way. I think that's us safe. What do you reckon?
I do. I'm going to say 99% certain. Depending on how other results go today, then I'll feel a lot better if those teams mentioned before don't pick up any points. Because I think 10 points with 7 games to go, albeit there's still 21 to play for, I can't see any of those teams getting half of that within the remaining games.
Nah, just bring that table back up again. I mean, goal difference is shocking, but I think, yeah, you know, it's probably one of the bottom 4 or 5 who are going to go down. I think we are probably safe right now, and we can even maybe get a few more places before the end of the season because we're not that far behind. I mean, Brighton's on the same points, obviously a game more that we've played, and Saints are only 2 points ahead of that, and Villa the same 2 points ahead of that. So you never know. We've got some hard games coming up though, but I think we targeted Burnley and Norwich as the points we probably needed. But now they've got these 3 points, you know, it's looking like we could even reach the bloody 40-point mark. You would just never have seen that, would you? Going into Christmas before the takeover over even. It just didn't look like it in a million years. We were down, we were done. And look at us now, man.
I mean, even not just the takeover week, if you look at the Cambridge FA Cup game, that game there, and I know it was an FA Cup game, so it doesn't have any bearing on the league at all. But the way we played that game against League 2 team, I think Cambridge are, we were destined for relegation. And if anybody who was daft enough to put any money on us to stay up after that performance, then I hope it pays your mortgage off because you would have got significantly good odds for that. We were destined for relegation. We were probably going to be going to places that we've never been to before in the Championship. You know, the only good thing about the Championship is they've got better pies down there. That's it. But apart from that, it's been a roller coaster with many more ups than it has been downs come the turn of the year. And I just cannot even imagine come that FA Cup game that if I was to be sat here now, first week in April and say, oh yeah, we're in 14th place and 10 points clear of the drop zone, I'd be asking you, you know, how many mushrooms have you taken? and can I have some?
Exactly. Give something to me. Yeah, just what a turnaround. Let's have a look at some stats just quickly. So in the end, it was actually more 60-40 possession in Wolves' favour. And I think that's probably got a lot to do with how much they controlled the game after we scored the goal. 4 shots in total to 2 for Newcastle. That's on target. 12 off target to their 5. And basically we end up having 1 corner to their 2. And yeah, a bunch of other stuff there. Not much else to talk about. Oh, right. Bloody hell. Can't believe it. 3 points. Well happy with that. So let's have a man of the match. Just let me get this one up. Where is it? I've lost it. There it is. From Rowan. He reckons Kraft, Miggy and Bruno were class today. Who was your man of the match, Craig? I think there's a few to pick from here for once.
It's a tough one because splitting feathers literally between Bruno and Chris Wood. I think Chris Wood had his best game in the Newcastle shirt today. He was all over the place. He was unlucky with that goal chalked off. Good reactions on the ground from him. But yeah, it was the right decision to have that taken away, unfortunately for offside. His penalty was dispatched fantastic. And I think his overall link-up play with even getting forward on corners, that I think it was his knock-on for Dan Burn, and Dan Burn had that shot on target as well. So if he's not scoring or creating chances for himself, he's trying to help his teammates out. And Bruno was just, again, he was the man above everybody on that pitch. He was world class in terms of the other opposition. But I'm going to give it to Chris Wood for his goal because he deserved that. And the fact it was his first home goal, it was a well-taken penalty. And yeah, his overall play on being a very lonely position up there on his own, he deserved it. So I'm going to give it to Chris Wood.
Fair enough. Dex here saying Bruno. I also think Bruno composed on the ball for the most part. He did give it away once or twice, but the way he wins back the ball is the thing I think I like the most, really. He's like a little ferret, isn't he? He's like, right, that's my ball. I've lost it, maybe, so it's come loose. All right, I'm going to get that ball back. Like half the time today, he was on the ground and he was like spinning around the back of people with his foot to kind of recover the ball. And it was working as well. It was absolutely ridiculous. The commitment that he's got to to get the goal, to get the ball back. His forward movement, as we know, is really good. I'd like to see him get an assist or a goal or something soon. I think that would really give everyone a lift. But today, it was a really good, solid midfield performance. I also want to say a special mention to Shelby, who I thought kind of made us a little bit more rigid at the back. Certainly in the first half, he was spraying the balls around quite well. And I think we underestimate the benefit of having someone like Shelby who can pick that ball up in that position and move the ball forwards, either through the middle or down the wings, and just relieve the pressure of nothing else. Most of the time, his passes are good. If he's on one of those kind of Hollywood days where he's just blamming everything and it's going nowhere, then no, not so good. But on days like this where he can relieve the pressure with a really pinpoint pass, it's a really valuable thing to have in the team, and it allows you to reset and to push out. So I want to give a special mention to him. And also, why not? Let's give a special mention to Kraft. Now, I've got to be honest, I'm sort of eating my words a little bit here. And I'm probably Kraft's number one critic. Well, maybe it's between me and Dex. He has been not very good this season. I know that's good English there. And when I was criticizing him, it was on the back of really, really, really terrible performances, like shockingly bad performances. And I thought Manquillo was the obvious person to have in place instead of Kraft. But Eddie Howe was doing the whole "you've got to win your place back" thing, and he wasn't seeing so much as I was the issues with Kraft and his terrible touches and his useless passing. Couldn't pass the ball 5 meters. But today I thought he was actually really good, quite solid at the back. There's one moment in particular where he was marking his man on the wing, just outside the box. The man gets beyond him and goes into the box, and he's looking like he's about to take a kick. And Kraft is actually tracked with him, and he's left his position essentially. He's cut right into the center of the box, and he's slid tackled and stopped the ball from going towards goal. And I think that just kind of epitomized his performance today. He was on it today, and I wish he could play like that all the time. because then I wouldn't have nothing to complain about, because I thought it was really, really good day, albeit against the Wolves team who, for the most part, didn't look really interested. But nonetheless, I thought, fair's fair. I've taken the piss out of him long enough, so that's a pat on the back for him. He'll be over the moon to hear about that, I'm sure. Well done, Kraft. And again, Wood was effective, but he just still needs better service. Here's Dex being a tinker. I set up the Emerald Craft fan club and no one joined. Well, you might get some signings now. I might sign that one. Yeah, he was good today. Anything else you want to talk about?
Mention to Miggy, because he's come under a lot of criticism lately, and I know you lambasted him and Kraft a few games back as being probably the worst pairing down that right-hand side that you've probably ever seen. But he put in a good shift today. He's got a point to prove. And now if Fraser's going to be out, he might be there to make that position his own and a run up to the end of the season, which, to be honest, isn't going to be could only be a good thing for us, because I don't think he'll be with us next season. So good performances put him well in the shop window just to increase his value. And if he's going to play like that, then we're not going to be worse off with not having Fraser in there. If anything, he just adds a little bit extra flair, and that Fraser doesn't have. And again, we're seeing his link-up play with Bruno was very, very good at times, again, in the build-up to that disallowed goal.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be around in the summer. If nothing else, it gets him in the window for someone else to come along and buy him. I think probably Murphy will take the place of Fraser, though. He's a more natural winger, I think you'd have to say, and he's got a bit of a crossing, and where Miggy's crossing is usually pretty terrible. But yeah, no, today he was quite effective in the tight spaces. I actually forgot to mention in the first half, I think there was that moment where we were moving forward. It was actually the goal that was ruled offside. I somehow didn't write that down. I don't know why. So the ball, it was all very congested, and the ball was bouncing around a little bit, and Miggy did that lovely kind of back heel pass, didn't he, to release Wood, and Wood obviously puts the ball in the net. I can't remember exactly how this one went. I can't remember even why I didn't write this down, but we did score, didn't we? Yeah, that's right, because Wood was on his arse and he bundles it in somehow. Yeah, that's right. And but that just even that kind of awareness to have that among you, and to know that you can take a touch and release. I think it was Bruno released and crossed it to Wood. Actually, it was nice to see, but I just don't think he's going to be with us next season. He hasn't got an end product. He's I don't think he's suited for this league. He might do well in France or Spain or somewhere like that, but yeah, I don't think he'll be with us. All right, so that will probably do for our roundup of the game. Our quick review. We've had no time to see any interviews from the managers. We've seen no information about the injuries. I haven't got a clue what's going on. But 3 points for Newcastle going into the weekend. It's Saturday morning for us in Australia. Sun is shining. A little bit of rain, but I don't give a shit. 3 points, Craig. Got to be happy with that, haven't you?
Perfect start of the weekend, mate.
Absolutely smashing start of the weekend. Let's just quickly have a look at some of the fixtures. So Newcastle 1-0 against Wolves. Get in. We've got Leicester next on Sunday. And that's another home game, of course. So that'll be a tricky one. I think it'll be a bigger challenge than this one was today. Then we've got Palace, which I think is probably the hardest of the three, if anything, the way they're playing at the minute. Then we have the away game to Norwich, and then we've got a period of 3 games where we're going to get absolutely nothing. It's Newcastle at home to Liverpool, then it's Man City away, and then it's Newcastle at home to Arsenal. Just can't see us getting anything out of that. And then the final game of the season, which looks increasingly like it isn't going to be edge of your seat stuff and isn't going to matter to us too much. It's Newcastle away to Burnley on the 23rd of May. So you were saying, Craig, that you wouldn't mind throwing that game against Burnley, weren't you?
I think it was Mark who turned around and said if it meant we throw the game, Burnley win, which sends Everton down, that would be the icing on the cake for the season. I don't think there's many Newcastle fans that want to see Everton stay in the league. They've given us plenty of grief and abuse when we went down a few times, and it would just be nice to see how that shoe fits, just to rub it in a little bit. I mean, it's not nice for any club to get relegated. And I know a lot of people are saying Everton are too big of a club to get relegated. That's bollocks. No club's too big to go down. And no club's too good to go down. Is what you found out when we had Owen, Martins, Barton, Nolan, all in the squad. That was a very, very good team. But again, on performance, we were shit. We deserved to go down that year. And Everton, they're just reminiscence of that squad. Some very good players on paper, but they're just not performing. They made some poor choices in the transfer window. Dele Alli at 40 million looks like an absolute waste of money. He's never started a game yet. And Van de Beek is now injured, and obviously he can't play against his parent club this weekend. So I can see Everton going down. And it could come down to that last game of the season where Burnley need to beat us to stay in it, because there's only a point in it between those two, and they've got the same amount of games now. I think Everton are gone. Watford, it's maybe Roy Hodgson has worked miracles in the past, but I think that might be one miracle too far on that one. So my 3 to go down, probably I'm going to say Norwich gone, Watford pretty much gone, but have a slim chance. And then I think it's between Burnley and Everton. And looking at the fixtures between the two, Everton's fixtures are crazy, crazy tough compared to Burnley's.
No.
And I can just see Everton getting sucked in. And I reckon by the end of this game week, they'll be in the relegation zone.
Yeah, that'd be terrible to see that, wouldn't it? It'd be awful.
It really, really would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously just all banter between football fans. You don't want to see anyone go down, really, but somebody has to go down, so why not Everton? I think the Vultures will be all amongst that team if that does happen. There's a few, obviously, good players in that team. Did you have a bunch of builders out your window there, whistling away doing the windows or something? What was all that noise?
Oh, no, there's some birds nesting in a tree.
And, well, like inside your house?
There's literally a tree, literally just to my right-hand side out the window. And it's these curlews. I don't know if you get them down in Brisbane.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And the noise they make is horrific. If anyone doesn't know what they are, get it on YouTube. It sounds like someone's being strangled. They are the worst thing in the world.
All right. What a brilliant note to finish the podcast.
It really is, isn't it?
Bit of bird fancying at the end there. Lovely. All right. So there's a few big games to look out for this weekend. We don't have to worry about it. We've got the 3 points that we needed. Absolutely brilliant win. Next up for us is going to be the Leicester preview. It should be midweek. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one. It should be me. Oh, I'm doing that one. All right, I'm doing that one with Mark and Dimmy. And that might be my last one for a while. And last question from Dex again. Lads, which positions do we need to upgrade in the summer? And what style of play do you expect to see? Bloody hell, Dex, we haven't got all day for this one. The positions are probably all of the ones that we have championship players in. And the style of play, I hope, will be a lot better than it is. I think we need to be more on the front foot. We need to be more intricate with our passing. And we need to be calmer on the ball because we are shit, usually. Craig, you want to have a quick stab at that one?
Yeah, I think we need a dedicated winger, especially on the right-hand side. Fraser's good, but he's not going to be there for the foreseeable future. A natural right-sided winger who can cross the ball. It's perfect for Wilson and Wood if they're both around next season. And we need a left-sided centre-back as well. I know there's talk of Botman, but it looks like he may be going to AC Milan, but we'll see how that plays out in the summer. There's plenty of other left-sided centre-backs out there. Will we keep Target? I think we will. I think he'll be the first acquisition we'll make. And another striker. And again, there's talk of Darwin Núñez from Benfica. Mm-hmm. If we get him, then that is just a world-class signing in the making on that one. He's not quite there yet, but he's definitely got the potential.
Yeah, proper striker would be brilliant. But I think you can look at every point on that pitch and say, you know what, we'll probably do better. Maybe with the exception of the likes of Bruno, who is obviously a Brazilian international. But yeah, lots and lots for the owners to think about over the summer. It looks like we're safe, so they can do that with some confidence going into next season in the Premier League still. That'll do for us. Thanks for everyone who joined in the comments section and for your questions. Thanks for anyone who's watching and listening after this. You can find us across all the socials, of course. Yeah, please do like, subscribe, and follow, and do all that stuff. Really makes us happy to see all that stuff coming through. Give us any questions that you might have for future podcasts. We like answering your questions as best we can. We're just a bunch of numpties, but we like to see the questions coming in. Wait, Craig is, and we like to see the answers. And that'll do for us. Newcastle United marching on, 3 points, 10 points clear of relegation zone. Have to be safe now, I think. How are the mighty Mags? Oh, it's been a while since I got to say it. Come on. Cheers, Craig.
See you in a bit.